Prime Minister Narendra Modi is in Italy on the first foreign trip of his third term to attend G7 summit. Under PM Modi, India has been a regular invitee to the G7 meets in the past few years. It was a mega day of bilaterals. On the sidelines of the G7 summit, PM held bilaterals with France's Macron, UK's Rishi Sunak, and also had a one-on-one with Ukraine's Volodomyr Zelenskyy. Later, he was welcomed at the venue summit by Italy's PM Georgia Meloni and even got to hug the Pope. Pope Francis joined the leaders of Italy, the United States, Britain, Canada, France, Germany and Japan. In Italy, it was a historic appearance at the G7 to take part in a discussion on artificial intelligence. Now, the latest on the NEET controversy as protests continue over the medical entrance exam. Union Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan today met with students who appeared for the NEET UG exam to address their concerns. They presented him with a list of demands which included the exam be held once again and the National Testing Agency chief be removed. The minister assured that no injustice would be done to the students.
23-year-old Harsh Gupta was fresh out of school when he set out on his journey from a small town near Uttar Pradesh's Kannauj. His destination, becoming a doctor. 4 years later, he's on the streets of Delhi, running from pillar to post, demanding a fair examination.
6 तारीख से काउंसलिंग फिर से होगी कहीं ना कहीं अभी तक जो लग रहा है तो आपको लग रहा है ये इनजस्टिस है बच्चों के साथ?
बिल्कुल इनजस्टिस है क्योंकि जब काउंसलिंग हो जाएगी तो उसके बाद क्या होगा उसके बाद क्या बच्चों को आप निकाल पाएंगे?
Harsh is among the thousands of aspiring doctors who demand a re-examination and an investigation into the alleged paper leak across centres. Many of them, like 25-year-old Vikas, have gone through multiple grueling attempts at what's seen as one of the toughest competitive exams.
सर 1563 की बात नहीं है, बात हमारे पूरे 24 लाख की है. सबके साथ स्कैम हुआ है और बहुत स्टूडेंट्स ऐसे जिसने 4 साल मेहनत करके मार्क्स लाए हैं, उन्हें सीट नहीं मिलेगी तो क्या होगा?
While the Education Minister assured the angry candidates of a solution acceptable to all, a setback for the aspirants from the Supreme Court, which will now hear their petitions 2 days after the scheduled date of counselling.
The Supreme Court, which heard a number of petitions today, refused to give any kind of relief and said that they will hear the entire matter on the 8th of July when the Supreme Court reconvenes after the vacation.
For students, it is the integrity of the exams that has been compromised.
एनटीए के रिप्लाई आने के बाद में जो हमारी सबमिशंस हैं और इस केस को दोबारा से मेरिट्स पे जो 8 जुलाई को सुना जाएगा ये होगा. लेकिन जिस तरह से इस केस में हमारे पास मटेरियल्स हैं, एफआईआर हैं और दूसरे एविडेंस हैं जिसमें पेपर लीक हुए हैं, एफआईआरस हैं, इन्वेस्टिगेशंस चल रही हैं, ये साफ साबित होता है हमारी तरफ से जो हमारे पास मटेरियल है कि इस पूरे एग्जाम को सेट असाइड करना चाहिए, रिकॉल करना चाहिए और ये दोबारा एग्जाम होना चाहिए.
While the chief of the testing body, the man in the line of fire, declined to speak on camera, the National Testing Agency says the credibility of the exam is intact. Government sources told NDTV that it could be due to a relatively easy question paper this time that several students came out on the top. The Education Minister defended his testing agency.
Let us wait for the 8th July, how Supreme Court is going to pronounce its judicious judgment.
With the ball now in the Supreme Court, lakhs of students are left in the lurch.
These 20-year-olds who could be on their way to becoming practicing doctors have taken to the streets. Re-NEET is what they demand. They say they have no trust whatsoever in the National Testing Agency and that the inaction on all the discrepancies that have now come in the public domain is like playing with their careers. In New Delhi with camera person Arun Singh Negi, Vedant for NDTV.
Well, let's take you back to some action happening in Italy right now, where Prime Minister Narendra Modi is present on the first foreign trip of his third term to attend the G7 summit. Here on your screen is a picture of all the G7 leaders with Pope Francis. Under PM Modi, India has been a regular invitee to the G7 meets in the past few years. It was a mega day of bilaterals, and you can see there on your screen all the G7 leaders at the photo op. PM Modi held meetings with several key leaders, including France's Emmanuel Macron and UK's Rishi Sunak. He also had a one-on-one with Ukraine's Volodomyr Zelenskyy. PM Modi had a chance of meeting and hugging the Pope as well. There on your screen is a photo op that is currently going on at the G7 summit. My colleague Vishnu Shom has been in Italy covering this mega meet. Let's look at this report that he sent.
An unexpected highlight at the G7 summit in Fasano in Italy. Prime Minister Narendra Modi meeting the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy at a time when Ukraine is center stage in talks here. By meeting the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy over here in Italy, the Prime Minister has sent a strong message. While India does have excellent relations between Russia, we've also got great ties with Ukraine. India is equidistant. The focus is absolutely clear. It's only through dialogue and diplomacy that the Ukraine war can come to an end. But there have been other key meetings as well. The Prime Minister meeting France's Emmanuel Macron. That meeting comes shortly after Macron announced snap polls back home, and also comes at a time when New Delhi and France are negotiating for 26 more Rafale fighter jets, this time for the Indian Navy, in a deal worth more than 50,000 crores. In his meeting with the British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, another leader who faces election soon, Prime Minister Modi focused on defence, security, trade and economic collaboration. India and the United Kingdom are also in the middle of negotiations for a free trade agreement. This isn't the first time that an Indian Prime Minister has been called to G7. In fact, it's the 11th occasion, each one very important, but this one particularly significant because it's the first foreign trip being made by the Prime Minister after he was sworn in for a record third term. It is also an important occasion for the Prime Minister to reach out to some of his closest Western allies, the United States, the United Kingdom, France, Italy, Germany, and to the east, to the Prime Minister of Japan as well. Other key meetings, Prime Minister Modi in talks with Japan's Prime Minister Kishida and Germany's Chancellor Olaf Scholz and Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni.
There is respect for what India is today in terms of the dynamism, the technology adoption, the fast trajectory towards a quality growth, I would say. So this is perceived as something to be respected, to be admired, and I would say also a great opportunity to draw investments from India to Italy.
In addition to the high-level G7 engagements, India has also been involved in focused conversations on the Indo-Pacific region, Africa, climate change, migration and artificial intelligence. What has, however, been missing from this short 24-hour visit of the Prime Minister is a mega diaspora event. This has been a Modi signature event in all parts of the world. This time around, he was greeted by officials at Brindisi Airport. When he arrived at 11:30 p.m. last night, he departs at 11:30 p.m. tonight. India isn't a member of the G7. However, India has been called because we are increasingly seen as a voice of the global south. When the G7 was formed, it was essentially a grouping of the world's most powerful economies. But that's changed substantially. India is now the world's fifth largest economy. As an economy, we are larger than the host nation, Italy, France and Canada as well. This visit, however, is important because it does set the agenda for Prime Minister Narendra Modi's foreign policy. In Bari, with camera person Rakesh Singh, Vishnu Shom for NDTV.
Well, returning home, West Bengal Governor C.V. Anand Bose has hit out at Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee. The governor alleged that the state government was not allowing victims of violence to enter Raj Bhavan. The Calcutta High Court has ruled that Suvendu Adhikari in this case and the alleged victims of post-poll violence can visit Raj Bhavan and meet the governor if permission is granted by his office.
The background of the incidents that took place yesterday, that is the unpardonable act from the government of preventing the victims of violence from airing their grievances to the constitutional head of the state, that is the government, is deplorable. That situation was brought to the notice of government yesterday. Yesterday, I gave permission to the victims of violence to meet me in the Rajbhavan and air their grievances. I was shocked to find that on one reason or the other, they were all prevented from exercising their democratic rights of defending their lives.
Now, in a bizarre development, the CBI has told a special Mumbai court that the bones and body purportedly of Mumbai executive Sheena Bora, recovered by Raigad police after her murder 12 years ago, are reportedly missing and untraceable. The revelation came up during the examination of a witness, Dr. Zeba Khan, a forensic expert at the JJ hospital, who was the first person to confirm that the bones and other remains found were of a human being. This was a shocking case. Sheena Bora was allegedly eliminated by her mother and her ex-husband in connivance with her driver on 24th of April 2012. But the shocking killing only came to light around August 2015. More gruesome details have emerged in the murder case in which Kannada actor Darshan is accused. The murdered man, Renuka Swami, who was allegedly tortured and killed, died of shock and hemorrhage, according to the autopsy report. The autopsy found 15 wounds on the body of Renuka Swami, who was allegedly beaten to death by the actor and his aides. Radhika gets us these details.
Brutal and shocking details have emerged in Renuka Swami murder case in which actor Darshan is allegedly involved. In fact, Darshan, his girlfriend and his aides have been arrested and they are in police custody. Investigations are going on. They are being questioned. But several details emerging as far as the post-mortem report of Renuka Swami is concerned. In fact, he had suffered 15 wounds on his body, including wounds on his abdomen, chest and many other parts. In fact, post-mortem report also reveals that he died of shock and hemorrhage. He was allegedly beaten up for at least about 3 to 4 hours in that shed in Bengaluru. His head was banged multiple times against a mini truck. In fact, the mini truck has also been seized by the police at this point. Several evidence being collected, CCTV footage being seized as well as examined by the police. There is also a CCTV footage showing this man, Renuka Swami, being ferried from Chitradurga all the way to Bengaluru. In fact, the driver of that vehicle, Ravi, has surrendered before the police just earlier today. So he has in fact been arrested by the police. In fact, a spot inquest was also carried out just last night. The police in fact took one of the main accused to Chitradurga in order to understand the circumstances leading to the death, the sequence of events, him of course narrating what exactly transpired in Chitradurga and how Renuka Swami was allegedly abducted from Chitradurga and taken to Bengaluru. So multiple people being questioned, several angles being looked into at this point. However, very, very shocking details emerging of the death of Renuka Swami. He suffered multiple wounds. He was miserably, allegedly beaten to death by Darshan and his gang. Of course, they will be produced before a court in a few days from now.
Now, the Urban Development Minister Saurabh Bhardwaj has written to MHA alleging questionable conduct of Delhi Chief Secretary Mr. Naresh Kumar. The minister has alleged illegal meetings chaired by the Chief Secretary with RWA members of South Delhi constituency in presence of BJP candidate Ramveer Singh Bidhuri during the Model Code of Conduct. Bhardwaj says that the Chief Secretary, who was taking the excuse of Model Code of Conduct for not sending desilting reports in time, the Chief Secretary being a chairperson of Integrated Drain Management Cell, he says, should have ensured third-party independent audit of desilting by various departments. The Chief Secretary, he says, has failed to show cause HODs who did not attend multi-stakeholder meeting on drain management on the 13th of February. Now, Delhi LG VK Saxena has sanctioned the prosecution of Arundhuti Roy under UAPA. Roy and Dr. Sheikh Shaukat Hussain had allegedly made provocative speeches at a conference organized under the banner of Azadi the Only Way on 21st of October 2010 at LTG Auditorium at the Copernicus Marg in Delhi. The issues discussed and spoken about at the conference propagated the separation of Kashmir from India. It was alleged that Jalani and Arundhuti Roy strongly propagated that Kashmir was never a part of India and was forcibly occupied by the armed forces of India, and every possible effort should be made for the independence of the state of Jammu and Kashmir from the state of India, and recordings of the same were provided by the complainant. Time now for a very quick break on the show. More on the other side. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Union Home Minister Amit Shah on Friday reportedly reviewed the security situation in Jammu and Kashmir following several recent terror incidents, including an attack on a bus carrying pilgrims. Shah has scheduled a high-level meeting on 16th of June, which will include National Security Advisor Ajit Doval, Lieutenant Governor of Jammu and Kashmir, Manoj Sinha too, and top Army and CRPF officials will be present there as well. An Indian Air Force transport plane carrying the remains of 45 Indians who died in a building fire in Kuwait returned to India today, first stopping in Kerala, where a majority of the workers were from. Union Minister of State KV Singh accompanied the bodies on the flight back to India. There are several allegations by families and those who managed to escape of violations, how the accommodation was overcrowded and access to terrace was locked.
Kerala Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan and leaders from neighbouring Tamil Nadu paying their last respects to the mortal remains of 31 of the 45 Indian workers killed in the terrible fire tragedy in Kuwait. An Indian Air Force special flight brought them to Cochin. 23 of these workers are from Kerala, 7 from Tamil Nadu and 1 from Karnataka. A pall of gloom descended as ambulances took them to their homes for a final goodbye. This man in Tamil Nadu's Kadalur district lost his brother Chinnadurai. He and his elderly mother are shattered.
കുവൈറ്റ് ഗവൺമെൻറ് ഫലപ്രദമായതും ശക്തമായതുമായ നടപടികൾ സ്വീകരിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട് എന്നാണ് മനസ്സിലാക്കുന്നത്. ആ ഗവൺമെൻറ്റിൻ്റെ തുടർ നടപടികൾ കുറ്റമറ്റ രീതിയിൽ ഉണ്ടാകുമെന്നാണ് നാം എല്ലാവരും പ്രതീക്ഷിക്കുന്നത്. ഇത്തരമൊരു ദുരന്ത വിവരം അറിഞ്ഞപ്പോൾ ഇന്ത്യ ഗവൺമെൻറ്റും ശരിയായ രീതിയിൽ തന്നെ ഇടപെട്ടിട്ടുണ്ട്.
தமிழகத்திலிருந்து உயிரிழந்த 7 நபர்களுடைய உடலை பெற்றுக் கொடுப்பதற்காக தமிழ்நாடு முதலமைச்சர் மக்கள் முதல்வர் தளபதியினுடைய ஆணைக்கேற்ற நானும் துறை சார்ந்த ஆணையரும் இங்கே வருகை தந்தோம். அதில் கேரள அரசும் இங்கே முதலமைச்சரும் நேரடியாக வருகை தந்து அந்த மரியாதை செலுத்தியதை நாங்கள் உண்மையிலே வரவேற்கிறோம்.
Nearly 50 others are being treated in 5 Kuwait hospitals, some in ICU. The fire on the ground floor after a gas leak triggered explosion of cylinders and spread to upper floors. It was early morning. Most of them were asleep. Many alleged serious violations. The accommodation was overcrowded. The access to terrace locked. Workers even jumped through windows. Union Minister Kirti Pradhan Singh, deployed by the Centre for Early Repatriation, says the safety issue will be addressed.
The Kuwaiti government is taking this incident very seriously, and they're taking all possible steps. They're making inquiries as to how it happened, so that this kind of a tragic incident is never repeated again. And they assured us that they will take all possible steps. They have also assured us that all the paperwork regarding the insurance that is to be paid to the families, the compensation, will be done as immediately as possible.
For India, the Kuwait fire tragedy is yet another eye-opener on the unsafe living conditions of Indian workers in the Middle East. For Kuwait, it's a huge embarrassment. While the centre has ensured early repatriation of the dead, the larger challenge for the new government, many say, would be to ensure at least safe accommodation for Indian workers in the Gulf, who also contribute huge foreign remittances. With SP Babu in Kerala, in Chennai, with Suresh, Sam Daniel, for NDTV.
Well, that's all we could pack into this bulletin. Thanks for watching.